Good morning, dear YouTube friends. Thank you so much for coming by. Today we're turning these gorgeous little pears into the easiest pear crisp you've ever made. We're also going to make a delicious coconut caramel to go on top. Keep on watching to see how we do it. Alrighty guys, first thing we're going to do is slice up our pears very thin. I'm going to leave the skin on these little guys. I like the texture of the skin a lot, and I also feel like it leaves a lot of those nutrients and fiber in the dish, so that's why I'm leaving the skins on. You do you though. If you prefer them without skins, by all means peel them on up. Once we've got about 2 large pears cut up, I'm going to line them in this cute little casserole dish that Steve's parents gave us for Christmas. Isn't it adorable? It's perfect for a 2-person pear crisp or any type of fruit crisp. You can of course double or triple this recipe if you want it to be for more people or if you want to have more leftovers. So I'm just going to do 2 layers of these sliced pears, and then I'm going to stuff some pears in the side to just kind of get it as full as I possibly can. Now that our casserole dish is chock full of those beautiful sliced pears, I'm going to get started on the crisp part of our recipe. It's super simple. All you need is 1/4 cup of oats, 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of plant-based butter. I've really been digging this Country Crock olive oil-based spread. It has a super mellow flavor, it's really soft, and it melts really easily. To that, I'm going to add a tablespoon of raw sugar. Not going to get too crazy on the sugar. The pears have a really nice sweetness in themselves, plus we're going to make that coconut caramel, so we don't want to get too crazy with the sweet here. And then to that, I'm going to sprinkle on about 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and add a little pinch of sea salt, probably about 1/8 teaspoon. And then I'm going to take a spoon and I'm going to just mash that butter into all the rest of the ingredients and just get it really nice and incorporated, and just make sure that butter is breaking up into little tiny bits, kind of like when you make a pie crust. Once it's nice and incorporated, we're just going to take it and sprinkle it right over all of our pears, trying to make sure that it gets into the nooks and crannies really nicely so it'll melt in and get nice and chewy where that juice releases from the pears and nice and crispy on top. Then we're going to throw this little guy in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for about 40 minutes. I'd check at about 30 to make sure that it's not burning. You want your pears to get nice and tender and release their juices, and then that crumble to get nice and crispy on top. You can kind of tell as you start to smell that pear and cinnamon goodness in your kitchen, that's when it's starting to get pretty close to being done. While it's in the oven baking though, we're going to get started on our coconut caramel. It's so simple. All you need is a can of coconut milk. I'm pouring it into a saucepan here. To that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of that same raw sugar we used for the crisp. Then we're going to whisk everything together and bring this mixture to a boil. Be really careful. This coconut milk can boil over super easily, so as soon as it comes to a boil, turn it down to a low simmer, and we're just going to stir occasionally and let it reduce down to half until it gets to be nice and thick and this really light amber color. Once we're there, we're going to turn off the heat. Look how gorgeous that is. We're going to add some of that Country Crock butter and vanilla extract just to give it a little bit more richness. Stir it in and we'll be good to go. This will keep in the fridge covered for up to a week. It's so delicious. It adds a really delicate, nice caramel flavor to our crisp. It's also really good in coffee, side note. Worth trying for sure. So right about now, it's perfect timing. Our crisp is perfectly done. Our pears are nice and tender, and that crisp is nice and chewy and crunchy on top. We're just going to serve ourselves up some decadent breakfast here. And get a good scoop in our bowl. And you can of course have this on its own. You can have it with ice cream, but my favorite way to eat this crisp is with some non-dairy Greek style yogurt. I've got some unsweetened vanilla here. It adds a really yummy creaminess, and again, not too much sweet since we've got the sweetness of the pears and that gorgeous caramel sauce that we're going to add. So I'm getting a bit in here, and then I'm going to dollop on a good amount of that yogurt. I just recently tried out this Kite Hill brand, and it's so delicious. I love that it's Greek style because it's a little bit thicker. It has that really nice mouthfeel like Greek yogurt would have, but it's made out of almond milk, so I've been digging it. And now I'm going to attempt to practice restraint with this coconut caramel, which is a lost cause. It's just so delicious. So I'm going to drizzle some on top. And Steve and I are going to enjoy an incredibly decadent breakfast. This recipe really embodies everything that I love about fall: the smells, the flavors, the textures. I hope you love it as much as I do. By all means, use any fruit you've got on hand. This works fabulously with apples or plums. Steve and I have been so lucky. We've been in quarantine for the last little bit, and we have some fabulous friends and family that have been bringing us food and things that we need. And these pears actually came from our friend Janine's trees, so I feel honored to be able to cook them in such a way. Thank you, Janine, for the pears, and I hope you guys are just staying safe and healthy, and I can't wait to talk to you soon. Cheers!